Here's something that might shock you. An entire generation was raised by television shows that today's kids will never experience the same way. And this cultural divide is reshaping how we connect across generations. Generation X didn't just watch after-school television. They lived it, breathed it, and built their social identity around it. But here's where it gets controversial. Were these shows actually better than today's content? Or are we just blinded by nostalgia? Picture this familiar scene. School bag abandoned at the entrance. Fluorescent-colored snack in hand. Nutrition was clearly optional. And your body melting into position before the family television set. This wasn't merely background entertainment during those precious after-school hours. It was a sacred ritual that connected an entire generation through shared experiences. Here's what most people miss about that era. There were no streaming services, no endless scrolling through options, no ability to pause and return later. You experienced what the television gods decided to broadcast. And paradoxically, this limitation created something magical. Collective memories that bonded millions of kids who were simultaneously watching the exact same content at the exact same moment. These 8 television programs didn't simply occupy time slots. They became the unofficial textbooks for friendship, romance, humor, and social dynamics. They were the common language that Generation X would carry into adulthood, creating inside jokes and cultural references that still spark instant recognition decades later. Let's dive into these cultural time capsules that instantly transport Gen Xers back to those carpet-sitting, homework-avoiding afternoons when theme songs mattered more than algebra. Saved by the Bell, the ultimate high school fantasy. If you attended any educational institution during the late 1980s and early 1990s, Bayside High School probably felt more familiar than your actual campus corridors. This show created an alternate reality where teenagers actually wanted to spend time at school. Zach Morris transformed into the scheming mastermind we secretly wished we could be, while Kelly Kapowski represented the unattainable crush that haunted teenage dreams. Meanwhile, Screech Powers embodied the lovable outcast that many viewers recognized in themselves. Awkward but endearing, intelligent but socially struggling. But here's the controversial part. Was Saved by the Bell actually progressive for its time? Or did it reinforce harmful stereotypes about high school social hierarchies? The show tackled serious subjects like substance abuse, peer pressure, and social inequality, wrapping heavy topics in bright colors and catchy music. Some critics argue this approach trivialized important issues, while others believe it made difficult conversations accessible to young audiences. I still remember abandoning my mathematics homework mid-problem whenever that distinctive opening theme started playing, desperately hoping to catch the legendary Zack Attack musical episode. The show's famous time-out moments, where Zack would freeze the action to address viewers directly, created an intimate connection that made us feel like confidants in his elaborate schemes. Even today, hearing someone shout, "Time out," triggers an involuntary smile and an urge to pause dramatically while addressing an imaginary camera. That level of cultural penetration doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a show captures the essence of an entire generation's teenage experience. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. For Generation X, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air stands as the ultimate example of instantly recognizable entertainment. Will Smith's infectious charisma transformed what could have been a simple fish-out-of-water comedy into something far more substantial. The show's opening rap sequence became a daily ritual, with kids across America memorizing every word and attempting to recreate Will's swagger in their own living rooms. But here's what elevated this show beyond typical sitcom territory: its fearless approach to addressing complex social issues. The series seamlessly blended laugh-out-loud comedy with genuine discussions about racial identity, economic inequality, and cultural displacement. Carlton Banks's infamous dance moves provided comic relief, But the show's most powerful moments came when Uncle Phil delivered wisdom that cut through the humor like a knife through butter. Generation X viewers didn't tune in solely for entertainment. They came for authenticity. The show felt alive, dynamic, and real in ways that other programs couldn't match. It presented a world where serious conversations could coexist with silly moments, where family dysfunction could be addressed through both laughter and love. Decades later, that delicate balance between levity and depth continues to feel revolutionary. But here's a question that might spark debate. Did the show's success come from Will Smith's star power? Or did Will Smith become a star because the show was genuinely groundbreaking? Punky Brewster, the power of uncompromising individuality. Remember when one small person could completely transform the energy of an entire room simply by walking into it? Punky Brewster accomplished exactly that, every single episode. With her deliberately mismatched footwear, distinctive pigtail hairstyle, and relentlessly optimistic worldview, Punky became the kind of friend that every viewer secretly wished lived in their neighborhood. Her apartment felt like a place where magic could happen at any moment, where ordinary objects could become extraordinary adventures. For Generation X children who felt like outsiders in their own lives, Punky's journey offered something precious, proof that resilience and joy could flourish even after experiencing significant hardship. The show delivered heartwarming messages about chosen family and belonging, demonstrating that home isn't determined by your physical address. It's created wherever you find genuine love and acceptance. But here's where it gets interesting. Was Punky Brewster ahead of its time in promoting individualism and self-acceptance? Or does our current nostalgia overlook some problematic elements? Some modern viewers critique the show's handling of serious topics like abandonment and foster care, arguing that it oversimplified complex social issues. Watching Punky reminded young viewers that seemingly ordinary afternoons could be filled with wonder and possibility. Her universe felt quirky and unconventional, but it transmitted a powerful message. Being authentically yourself wasn't just acceptable, it was your superpower. That philosophy felt radical for children growing up in the conformity-obsessed 1980s. And it continues to resonate with adults who remember learning that lesson on their living room floors. Growing pains, the chaos of real family life. Here's a memory test. What remains more vivid in your mind? The show's theme song, or Kirk Cameron's trademark smile? For most Generation X viewers, both elements are permanently burned into their consciousness. Growing pains presented audiences with a refreshing blend of family comedy and teenage drama that reflected the beautiful messiness of actual domestic life. The Seaver household became a second home for viewers, with parents Jason and Maggie navigating the challenges of raising children while Mike, Carol, and Ben stumbled through their own adolescent obstacles. The show's storylines masterfully balanced humor with meaningful life lessons, creating content that felt comforting rather than preachy. Unlike other family sitcoms that presented unrealistic perfection, Growing Pains acknowledged that family dynamics were inherently complicated and often chaotic. I distinctly remember watching reruns with my older sister, both of us convinced that our own parents were unnecessarily strict compared to the understanding Seavers. Looking back with adult perspective, perhaps our parents weren't actually more restrictive, but Growing Pains provided us with a safe space to examine family relationships and secretly fantasize about having a cooler older brother like Mike. But here's a controversial question. Did shows like Growing Pains set unrealistic expectations for family relationships? Some critics argue that sitcom families created impossible standards for real parents and children, making actual family conflicts seem more problematic than they actually were. The show's lasting impact came from its honest portrayal of family life as messy and imperfect, while simultaneously demonstrating that laughter could carry you through almost any domestic crisis. Charles in Charge, the cool older brother you never had. Generation X afternoons frequently featured Charles, the college student turned professional babysitter, attempting to balance his personal ambitions with the chaotic demands of the Powell family's daily life. Charles in Charge created a unique entertainment hybrid by blending teenage humor with traditional family sitcom elements, establishing itself as an essential component of after-school television programming. The show's appeal wasn't groundbreaking or particularly sophisticated, but that simplicity became its greatest strength. Charles represented the ideal older authority figure, responsible and trustworthy enough to manage a household, but still relatable and fallible enough to make genuine mistakes. His bumbling best friend, Buddy Lembeck, provided consistent comic relief that kept storylines moving forward without becoming too serious or heavy-handed. For many Generation X viewers, the show's value wasn't found in its particular storylines or character development. It was discovered in the comfort of predictable routine. You knew exactly what to expect from each episode, and that reliability felt like coming home after enduring a challenging school day. Charles provided television as companionship, creating a sense of familiarity and safety during those vulnerable after-school hours. But here's what might surprise you. Charles in Charge actually tackled some progressive themes for its era, including single parenthood, blended families, and economic struggles. Were we too young to notice the show's subtle social commentary? Or were these elements so seamlessly integrated that they didn't feel like lessons at the time? Small wonder, embracing the beautiful absurdity of the 1980s. No authentic 1980s after-school television lineup could be considered complete without Small Wonder and its gloriously bizarre premise. A typical suburban family secretly raising a robot daughter named Vicky. The concept sounds absolutely ridiculous by today's standards, but during that era, it perfectly captured a generation's fascination with technology, artificial intelligence, and humanity's relationship with machines. Vicky's monotone speech patterns, mechanical body movements, and earnest attempts to mimic human behavior created endless opportunities for physical comedy and social awkwardness. I have vivid memories of practicing Vicky's distinctive stiff-legged walk around our living room, much to my parents' growing irritation. My sister would dissolve into giggles, and we'd spend entire afternoons pretending one of us had been secretly replaced by a robot. That's the magic these shows possessed. They didn't remain contained within the television screen. They spilled over into our real lives, transforming childhood imagination into active play. But here's where it gets controversial. Was Small Wonder harmless family entertainment? Or did it promote problematic ideas about artificial intelligence, gender roles, and family dynamics? Looking back with adult eyes, Small Wonder may not have been the most polished or sophisticated sitcom ever produced, but it represented pure 1980s weirdness at its most entertaining. It was television that didn't take itself too seriously, and sometimes that's exactly what childhood needs. Silver spoons. Living the ultimate childhood fantasy. What child didn't spend time fantasizing about living in a mansion, complete with a functioning train running directly through the living room? Silver spoons transformed that impossible dream into weekly television reality. Ricky Stratton, portrayed by young Ricky Schroeder, embodied the kind of privileged childhood that Generation X kids could only imagine, complete with unlimited video games, expensive toys, and that legendary arcade system occupying prime real estate in the family room. The show explored fascinating themes about wealth, responsibility, and the relationship between material possessions and genuine happiness. It frequently contrasted Ricky's lavish lifestyle with important lessons about friendship, humility, and personal character. This wasn't simply wish fulfillment television. It provided viewers with a glimpse into a completely different social class, while questioning whether extreme wealth actually created better life experiences. But here's a question that might divide opinions. Did silver spoons inspire healthy dreams about success and achievement? Or did it create unrealistic expectations about wealth and material possessions? Some argue the show motivated kids to work toward financial success, while others believe it promoted shallow values and economic envy. Let's be completely honest. If you were a child during the 1980s, you absolutely wondered what it would feel like to ride a train through your own house every single day. That single image alone cemented silver spoons as an unforgettable component of Generation X's collective after-school experience. The facts of life, growing up together through television. You take the good, you take the bad. The opening theme song of The Facts of Life wasn't merely catchy music. It became a philosophical mantra for an entire generation. The show followed a diverse group of young women attending a boarding school, guided by the maternal wisdom of Mrs. Garrett. And it evolved into one of television's most beloved ensemble casts. The character dynamics felt authentic and relatable, with each girl representing different aspects of teenage experience and social background. The storylines fearlessly tackled complex subjects, ranging from friendship, jealousy, and romantic relationships to body image issues and self-confidence struggles. For Generation X children, particularly young women, this show offered accessible role models and reassuring messages that growing up was messy, confusing, but ultimately survivable. What made The Facts of Life permanently memorable wasn't just its willingness to address difficult topics. It was the genuine warmth and affection between the characters. Watching Blair, Tootie, Joe, and Natalie navigate adolescent challenges felt like observing pieces of your own identity reflected on screen. Each character represented different personality types and social situations that viewers could relate to or learn from. But here's a potentially controversial perspective. Did shows like The Facts of Life provide realistic preparation for adult relationships? Or did they create oversimplified expectations about female friendships? Some critics argue that sitcom portrayals of friendship emphasize drama and conflict resolution in ways that don't reflect real-world social dynamics. Decades later, the core lessons from The Facts of Life continue to feel relevant and meaningful. For Generation X viewers, those after-school hours spent with Mrs. Garrett and her girls created permanent memories that still influence how we think about mentorship, friendship, and personal growth. Final thoughts. The cultural soundtrack that shaped a generation. Generation X's after-school television programming wasn't simply filler content between school dismissal and dinner preparation. It functioned as a cultural soundtrack that defined an entire generation's shared experience. These shows were simultaneously hilarious and bizarre, occasionally profound, and consistently memorable. They provided children with a sense of belonging, a common set of cultural references, and a cast of fictional characters who felt like genuine companions during those formative years. Today's children, with their unlimited streaming options and on-demand entertainment, may never experience the unique feeling of waiting for a specific time slot or humming along to the same theme song as millions of other kids simultaneously across the country. They'll never know the anticipation of wondering whether today's episode will be a rerun or something new, or the disappointment of missing your favorite show because of a family obligation. But here's where it gets really controversial. Were Generation X kids actually better off with limited television options? Or are we romanticizing a time when we had less control over our entertainment choices? Some argue that shared viewing experiences created stronger social bonds, while others believe that personalized content better serves individual interests and learning styles. For Generation X, those seemingly ordinary after-school hours became extraordinary because of these specific shows. And that transformation from mundane to magical is precisely why only members of this generation will truly understand their lasting impact. The deeper question remains, In our current era of unlimited choice and personalized algorithms, are we losing something essential about collective cultural experience? What happens to generational bonding when everyone watches different content at different times? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these shows shaped your own after-school experience? Do you think today's kids are missing out on something important? Or are they actually better off with more viewing options? And here's the big question that might spark some heated debate. Were these shows actually superior to today's content? Or are we just nostalgic for a simpler time when our biggest worry was finishing homework before our favorite show started? Share your perspective in the comments. I have a feeling this conversation could get interesting. What's your plant-powered archetype? Ever wonder what your everyday habits say about your deeper purpose and how they ripple out to impact the planet? This 90-second quiz reveals the plant-powered role you're here to play. And the tiny shift that makes it even more powerful. 12 fun questions. Instant results. Surprisingly accurate.